That's Retro Fandango. That's Retro Fandango. When it's Android over iPhone and you can keep your stupid amiibo and always bashing on Nintendo. But that's Retro Fandango. That's Retro Fandango. Thanks, Retro Fandango. Wow! Here we are.
What is this nonsense? What is this?
What? What
I
happened?
can't comment in the StreamYard.
Why
I gotta
not?
sign up with a YouTube account.
I don't know.
I've never had to do this before.
Oh my god. Richard is all gung ho for this episode.
Dang.
Episode number 232 of Retro Fandango. It's been 3 weeks since we recorded. So much has happened. I'm going to forget about half the things I want to talk about with Richard because he's going to distract me with problems he's having. And he's going full Eidher this episode. I'm not sure what that meant, but that was the message.
Oh, I can post comments now.
There you go. He figured it out.
What's
IT
the
man.
deal with Chris Roberts?
Oh, don't start this. What? You're gonna get me in trouble with Chris Roberts. I'm always on thin ice.
Chris Roberts is a fine guy, but I swear his Twitter account is so depressing and somewhat impressive because he's always the first to know when somebody dies.
Oh,
and I go to his Twitter and I see RIP. Someone is like, "What? Did this happen just like 3 minutes ago? How does he know this stuff?"
Who died?
Carl Weathers.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I just watched Predator the other day.
Oh.
Dang. Oh. And we even made the Arrested Development. Get some chicken bones in there. You got yourself soup going.
Right. Oh man, I gotta watch that show again.
Oh.
I still never saw the but they made like 2 other seasons like later on, right?
Yeah.
I've still never seen those.
The problem. Hey, we got Deke here. It's not Chris Roberts, but we got Deke. Yeah, those other 2 seasons, they're a bit of a mess. The biggest mistake they made with the comeback season was that they segregated all the actors. They're only in like there's a pair of them, like, you know, it's like Mike and his son, and then Portia de Rossi and David Cross, and they're not doing the ensemble thing. They're not all together. You know, like they would have branching stories, but within an episode, they would be together, and it was really like they wanted to do like an episode would just be focused on Mike and his son, and then that would be the entire episode. You wouldn't see any of the other characters, and so many people, that was Arrested Development season 4, according to Rocket Sauce. And then so many people were complaining that they actually went and re-edited all the episodes to.
Right. I heard something about that. Yeah. Well, I'm still curious, so someday.
Well, I never rewatched the re-edit of season 4, and I haven't watched season 5. So, but that season 1 through 3, that was all gold.
That was good stuff. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So what are we doing? You pick a topic, any topic, and
I'll talk about it. Goodness. Well,
you want to hear about Eidher stuff? You want to hear about how I am dominating the NSSABC?
What?
Do you want to hear more comments about Chris Roberts? What do you want?
No, I want to stay away from Chris Roberts altogether because I want to stay on his good side. I seem to always put my foot in my mouth with Chris Roberts. So let's just be on his good side. Let's just be.
Apparently, Carl Weathers was what, like in his 70s.
Look at Sauce. Did you talk about Carl Weathers? We just started. Yeah, yes, we already did. We covered that. How old was he? 70.
76. He died February 1st at the age of 76. His family issued a statement saying he died peacefully in his sleep, which good for him.
Yeah. It's too bad. Okay, well, I don't know. Where do we start? Well, I'll give you. Steven Eidher's not here yet. He might show up, so maybe we'll save him for a little bit later.
Okay.
I'll just talk about. Well, how about I talk about the new TV? that I got, the OLED TV.
Oh, yeah, you got your fanciness.
Yeah, so now that I've spent a few weeks with the OLED TV,
Uh-oh.
um, happy with 95% of the TV. Actually,
Mhm.
I'm happy with 100% of it, but that 5%, it took a while to get to 100%, almost 100%. I'll say almost 100%. And you're always going to have something that you're going to deal with a new TV or whatever. I've never seen Action Jackson, no sauce, but I do.
No, I haven't either.
Yeah. Um, so if video games are your main thing, if you're into video games and you got a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, or maybe even the Switch, although I think you'd lose a little bit with the Switch, um, OLED TV definitely the way to go. Turn the Xbox on, start playing video games. Looks beautiful. Didn't have to adjust a thing. Like didn't have to touch anything. The only thing that the TV does for some reason is that it keeps, whenever I fire up a game, it keeps reverting back to the TV speakers instead of playing through my stereo surround sound. I don't think that's an issue with the TV. That might be just an issue with my setup. But I have to continuously switch back, like, no, go through the surround sound. I don't know why it keeps defaulting to the TV, but there's something in there where it just defaults to those speakers. But I've been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is the game came out in 2018, and it just looks so beautiful. Like you're in these areas. It like takes place in ancient Greece, and you're in these areas, and just everything. It looks like you're there. You feel like as if you are in ancient Greece, and everything's so vibrant. Everything just looks great. It runs at 120 frames per second, so everything's like super smooth. I remember like you'd go into a cave in the older Assassin's Creed games. You go into a cave and you couldn't see anything inside the cave. You had to whip out the torch. You'd get a torch and then you can kind of see. With this TV, you just walk in and it's like there's a little adjustment, and then it's like it's kind of cool. Like they do it on purpose. Like your eyes are focusing to the inside of the cave kind of thing, and you can see everything. Beautiful,
It's
great.
not one of those deals where you adjust the brightness of your screen so you can cheat and see in the darkness.
I
When you're not
used to
supposed
do that. I used to do that all the
Mm.
time, and I remember like with that older TV, I'd be constantly adjusting the brightness because I wouldn't know if it was my TV or if it was like the show. Like half the time, like stuff would show up dark, and it would just be my TV, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's just the way they shoot it.
Right. Like I remember that episode. Like there's been a few movies like that, like the Batman movies and that. But I remember that episode of Game of Thrones, and I put there was one episode in the final season of Game of Thrones that was really dark, and I put it on. I didn't know anything. Like I just went in cold because I didn't want any spoilers or anything like that. I just downloaded the episode and I started playing it. I'm like, wow, this file is really dark. So I downloaded another file. Like this file is really dark. Well, maybe it's my TV, so I just cranked the contrast on my TV, and I watched the episode. And whatever. I'm not paying for HBO, so I got it for free. Blah blah blah. And then afterwards, when I went to go check to see what other people thought of the episode, everybody was complaining about how dark it was. So, anyways, this TV, you don't have that problem. Now, television content, you might have to go in and play with the settings a little bit. I've been switching, like putting sports on almost nightly. I also have an Android box that we could talk about a little bit later because I don't have any sort of cable or anything like that. So I stream all these sports through an Android box. And depending on the feed, if the feed is like up to par, like if it's like a 1080p 60 frames, no problems, zero problems. But if the feed is like a little weaker, there are some settings and stuff that you might have to go in and mess around with in order to get it to look half decent. Stream Dream. Yes. So here's the thing. Now, if you're a cinephile, if your main thing is movies, if you love movies and you want like the most authentic, I'm trying to fix my headphones here, and they're it's either my head or my headphones are off. I'm not sure which. Anyways, if movies are your thing, if they're your number one thing, I'm not sure if an OLED TV is for you. It might not be, because the refresh rates on these TVs are so high. It's up to, it's 120 frames per second. When you start getting into Hollywood films, they're down to 24 frames per second. And the solution that these TV manufacturers have for the, like, for displaying uh, content with such few frames per second is really subpar. They uh, it's, you've heard of that soap opera effect that modern
Right.
TVs have. Yeah, OLED TVs, it's even worse because the frame rate is so fast that it has so many frames to fill in. So like, it took me, I would say it took me a solid between 5 and 7 days of messing around with the TV in order to get it to a point where it's acceptable to me. And you're always going to have a little bit of a little bit of a compromise with the settings.
Mm.
So like, for like, traditionally when I watch movies and all that, I turn everything off. Like any sort of special, like Vivid or whatever it is on the TV, I turn all that stuff off because I want to see what the content on the disc or the file or whatever, what it looks like. I want to see what the movie, what the filmmakers made. That's what I want to see.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that with an OLED TV. You're going to have to do some sort of compromise. So there's like different presets on the TV. There's like, all the way to the left is like how the TV manufacturer wants you to watch movies in that. And you're going to get that like real soap opera effect. It's just going to, like, everything's saturated. All the colors in that are just really, it's too much. And then on all the way to the right, you have filmmaker mode. And filmmaker mode is this mode that has been endorsed by a lot of Hollywood. Like, they actually have like this filmmaker mode fund in Hollywood, like that Martin Scorsese and that put money into, in order to
Mm-hmm.
get this mode put into televisions, because they don't want people watching movies to look like a soap opera, right? Or to look like video, whatever. They want the
Right.
film preserved.
You want the film to be preserved and as closely as possible
Well, you're
to
trying
what
to,
they shot.
right, you want it to, you want the movie to look like how you created it. You don't want it be
Yeah.
going through all this processing and everything like that. The thing is, with filmmaker mode, apparently it's really great with a regular LCD TV, but with an
Mm-hmm.
OLED TV, again, because the frame rate is so fast, if you have like a static image, it looks fine. Everything looks fine and all
Mm-hmm.
that. But if you have any sort of slow moving panning shot, you're going to get like a staccato kind of, or like a,
Really?
yeah, like it's
Hmm.
going to be like, because it's trying to fill in all those frames, and it just can't do it. So it's going to like shake or look blurry, depending on the shot. So the first content that we started watching with the television was Planet Earth, because anytime I get a new TV, I love putting in those Planet Earth documentaries with
Okay.
David Attenborough, and they just like, it's all about nature. And I don't know if you've ever seen them, but like the shots in that they get are incredible in these series, and they always like look really good. So you got a new TV, you want to watch one of those documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
But with those series, you get a lot of slow panning shots. Like, here are the elephants going through the desert, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
constantly. So I'm sitting there, and I'm messing with the settings so much, right? Like, just every, like, I'm so it gets to the point where you're all the way to the left with the soap opera effect, and you're trying to find that happy medium, and like, it's like, oh, I found it, this looks good. And then it does that slow panning shot, and it's like, oh man, that looks crap. And then so you go back, and it's like, oh, everything looks dull. And so you're just constantly messing with all these settings. And eventually it gets to the point where you're doing it so often that you start to not notice the soap opera effect. It starts to go away. It starts to, like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's like you kind of get accustomed to it. You kind of get used to it. So I was messing around with the settings so much, doing the Planet Earth stuff and all that. And then Sarah wanted to watch a movie. I'm like, well, what's the first movie you want to watch on the new TV? Well, one of Sarah's favorite movies is Predator with Carl
Mhm.
Weathers.
All right.
So we put that in. So we start watching it. Now Sarah normally never says anything about, like, as long as she could see it and hear it, she doesn't care, right? I've seen her watch like little thumbnails on a TV because it was like Project Runway episode that she wanted to watch or something like that. Put this
Mhm.
Predator movie on it. She's like, why does it look like a soap opera? It's doing that soap opera thing. I don't like that. I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
damn it. Now I have to fix it. I have to fix it. So I messed around with it for a good solid week. And I saw saying it sounds like you shouldn't buy an OLED. I mean, if you don't want to mess around with settings and all that, and you want movies to look, if for video games, boom, I didn't have to do anything. It just, but for movies, I had to do a lot of messing around. But now I got it to the point where you're going to get a little bit, like if there's a panning, you might notice something a little bit. And then there, for the soap opera effect, you might notice that a little bit, but it's right. I found the sweet spot, is what I'm trying to say. So I went in and I messed around with all the settings and all that. Then there's tons of people online that have all their settings and all that, and you mess around with their stuff and none of their stuff works. You have to find what works for you and what will be the acceptable level for the settings. So
Mhm.
it is a Samsung television, and from what I understand, it's the software in it kind of varies. Some people say that Sony does it better. Some people say LG does it better. I don't know. I only have the one Samsung TV, and my Samsung is like uh mid-range television. Apparently, the higher end OLED TVs have even better software. But whatever. I got it to the point where now I turn on the video games, it looks great. I turn on the movies, they look great. Everything looks great on it. But I did have to mess around with the settings. That's all I'm trying to say. So
I believe you because every time I go into an electronic shop, I walk through the TV section, taking a look at all the big TVs, and you got all their 4Ks and all that out there, and all your fancy different kinds now. And I swear, like, the majority of them look terrible to me, and I can
mm,
never figure it out because I don't know, like, what settings they've been messing with. Is it the frame rate? Is it, are they messing with all the different colors and everything? I imagine people going through and checking them out, they're probably flipping around through them and everything.
mhm.
Sometimes they have that everything looks too fast, like there's just it's everything's being smoothed out. I'm
Yep.
like, why
Yeah.
why do all these TVs look horrible? Like for what they're charging for these things, why do they all look terrible? And I don't know. But
Yeah.
then again, half the people you're talking to right now are watching VHS tapes on a CRT. So
Yeah. And they're, my
I don't know.
VHS tape looks good. Kevin's always going on about Blu-rays, but
You
my
just mess with the
VHS,
tracking a little bit. That's it.
it's still good. You don't have to do anything. So simple. Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
okay. You want to watch Terminator on your 13-inch Magnavox? You go right ahead. Have fun. I have a home theater, and yes, I did have to sit there and mess around with it for a week, but I got it, and it looks beautiful. It looks great. Now it's like 4K movies look great, Blu-rays look great, HDT TV looks great. But again, it's like you have to find what's going to work for you. You got to just
Yeah, that's it. That's why they give you all those settings. Everybody's got their own personal taste, and as soon as somebody comes over to your house and looks at the TV, they're going to tell you why you set it up wrong and how you should do it this, and
Well, I,
deal
I
with it.
had I had people over for movies. We watched The Fish Called Wanda last week, and nobody
Oh, I almost
complained.
watched that recently.
Everybody had a good time. Nobody complained. I don't even think anyone noticed I had a new TV.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, it's all
Well, if
good.
they're just mooching, if they're just stealing
Yeah.
your TV and your snacks and everything, what can they say?
Let me tell you though, the best thing from that TV was the box that it came in because
You sit
so
around in it and make a fort out of it.
almost no, so in our old house in Stouffville, we had like this nice kind of false, not a false ceiling, but like a drop down ceiling. And
Okay.
the guy who lived there before us, he put like this rope lighting in this drop down, and it casted this like really nice light like reflective light on the white ceiling, and it would just like give you a nice light. So you could still, like, if you got up to go to the bathroom or walk around or whatever, you're not going to trip over anything, but it wasn't too much light to cause glare on the screen. Like, you know, like if you have a lamp sitting beside you, you know, like the person beside you might see the lamp in there or whatever. So it's really nice.
It's a fancy night light.
So I wanted to do something like that here, but everything in this house is all closed in already, right? There's no like going in and doing some wiring and all that. So the way they make these TV boxes now, you have like the box kind of like there's a bottom part, and then the box just slides down on the bottom part. You kind of like, it's a perforated edge, and you just rip the bottom part out, and you lift the TV up like that, right? You don't open the box and pull the TV out. They don't want you pulling on the TV at all, right? Because like, especially these
things
OLEDs,
are so sensitive now.
Yeah, so you got to lift this thing up and then carry the TV by the base and put it on the stand or on the wall or whatever. So I had some Christmas lights, just white Christmas lights that I was kind of using behind a bookshelf to kind of create this effect. But then the TV is a little bit bigger, so then you were starting to see the Christmas lights reflect into the TV. So like, what am I going to do with this? So I was thinking about putting it like hanging everything behind the bookshelf and then having the light cast out there and all that. And Sarah's like, well, why don't you put it all on top? Like, put all the lights on top and then put a piece of wood like along the top of the bookshelf, and it will reflect the light off the wall. And I'm like, okay. But I didn't have, all my wood is like in the back shed, and there's like, 2 feet of snow between me and that back shed right now. So like, I don't know. So I'm walking out there. I'm like, am I going to go there? And then I saw the bottom of the box, of the TV box. So I'm like, does that fit up there? So I put it up there, and it fit perfectly up there. So I then put some white paper on the bottom, so it would reflect the light out of the box. And then I put the Christmas lights on top of the box. So now I got this nice cascading light on the ceiling that shines down, so you can walk around, not trip over anything, and you can't see any sort of reflection in the TV.
So you got a ghetto cardboard box taped to your wall.
So then no, it's not taped to the wall. It's sitting on top of a bookshelf like it's really high up, so it's back. And then when I first put it up there, it looked really ghetto. It looked like, it looked like somebody put a cardboard box up there. It didn't look very good. So I took a bunch of Funko Pops, and I just lined them up in front of the box. So now you can't see the box. Boom. There you go.
Right. There you go. Creative solutions.
Cheap. And then so then, like, you didn't want to have to go up there to unplug the Christmas lights all the time, right? They don't make houses anymore with the switch where you can just switch plug. I bet you Duke does it all the time. But, when modern houses, they don't do that because they're worried about what you're plugging in now, right? They don't want you switching off your expensive equipment or anything like that. So I just grabbed it was like a thing for like an outdoor light, like a remote for an outdoor light kind of thing. I plugged that in, so now when you walk in, you can just hit the remote and it'll turn on all your lights. You don't have to go up there and unplug anything.
Why don't you get the clapper? Do they still sell them?
I don't know. I didn't want the lights to start
for a clapper.
I didn't want the lights to start like flickering every time someone applauds on the TV.
Could be fun.
Anyways, I just spent 20 minutes talking about my TV.
Thinking about your TV.
Yeah.
Why not?
Oh, and here's Stephen Eidher. He's here now.
Oh, yeah. I got content for you, Stephen.
All right. See, we waited for you, Stephen.
Okay, I can do it now. Yeah, Stephen's here.
Yeah, do it. What's this full Eidher business?
Well, I wouldn't say it's exactly full Eidher, but
did you do a half Eidher?
I purchased a few toys again.
Oh, I see.
Looking around, no. Some of this has to be, I got a tweet I got to send out. Hang on.
Damn it, I bought toys too.
You didn't bring your toys?
Okay, cover for me. I'm going to go grab my toys.
Okay, well, while Kevin's getting his stuff, I am going to post a tweety tweet thing, some photos that will help with my story. I think I just did it. Yeah, go to my Twitter, the Ramfox, and you can see the. Nice! And I posted 4 photos. and they're actually posted correctly in the little Twitter box, so it almost looks like the shelves I'm about to talk about. Look at me, fancy like that. Okay. Still waiting on Kevin to come back. And for those of you following along on the YouTube here, you can take a look at all the clutter in the back of Kevin's room. He didn't want anybody to notice, but he got up. It's his mistake. So make many comments about the clutter in the back.
Yeah, there's a lot of clutter back there. I know.
Oh, okay. I wasn't saying anything.
Yeah. Well, look, that's Sarah's office back there. So she's like,
Yeah, isn't that in her way?
No. Well, I
like that Garth by himself scene in Wayne's World. All right. Well, I was out. I had a reason. I just posted my tweet if you want to check it out, Kevin, because a lot of this starts with the shelves that are above me right here that I sit under as I do this podcast, and I had a problem with the lower shelf. I had these two shelves up here, and I had like books and things on them.
I'm looking at your
little knickknacks.
Yeah.
And then on the top shelf, because I had a little more space, I put some old laser discs that I hung on to. Recently, though, I noticed that the lower shelf, the brackets were coming loose. They weren't secured properly into the drywall, so they were the shelf was starting to lean down, and I knew it was just a matter of time before the thing fell. So I had to lower the shelf and then reset the brackets with some drywall screws. And I realized I have more space now, so I could put more laser discs on that lower shelf. So I did that. And as I was messing around with it, I realized I actually have things, little merchandise, figures and cars and stuff for everything that I had up there, except for one.
Alien.
Yeah, if you take a look at the photos, I've got Star Wars, RoboCop, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Batman, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, and Star Trek.
Maybe I could share.
And then there's Alien up in the corner, and I have nothing for it. I don't have any Alien figures. Before that, I actually had the Thing up there, and I don't have anything for the Thing.
There you go. There's.
There you go. Thank you.
Your photos. So we got.
I did sneak a few other things in there.
Nothing for Alien. We got Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
We got Gizmo here. No.
Yeah, that's I was going to comment on that.
Okay, I'm sorry. RoboCop, Raiders.
Yep.
Batman, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, and Star Trek.
The motion picture.
Right.
So originally I had the Thing up there. I was like, I don't have anything for the Thing. Then I realized I still had a copy of Alien. It's like, oh, sometimes I see xenomorphs out in the shops, but I had never picked one up. Maybe I can get something like that. So I put that up there. Okay, maybe I'll do something with that. Then I realized I have the Gizmo up there, and I do have little Gremlins. But I don't have a copy of Gremlins on Laserdisc. So the goal was to either find a copy of Gremlins or find some sort of merchandise to put up in front of Alien. I didn't do that yet. I haven't found anything yet. But in my searches, I did find other cool things that I couldn't stop myself from buying. The first of which is this right here. I got a Hot Wheels car.
Oh.
And it's the Ninja Turtles Party Wagon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had seen this online. I think Steven even posted a photo of this. I wasn't expecting to find one locally, but I guess there are some Hot Wheels collectors around here who didn't love it enough, so they resold it and had to pay a little extra for it. But I'm probably not going to run across one of those again. This one I had seen before, and I debated on it. But once I set up my new little display here, I figured I should go for it. I bought a RoboCop the Series figure. Now this is the series, the fine Canadian production that you're so proud of.
It is a good series. I like it. I'm trying to get you on the big screen here. It's not working out. I keep getting me on the big screen.
Anyway, I debated on this because it's Madigan, the not Ann Lewis sidekick to RoboCop. I was like, I don't care about these TV characters, but
You got a
because the
robot.
quality of the figure is so poor, and she's wearing the combat armor,
Yep.
I can just pretend that this is Officer Ann Lewis and stick her up there with RoboCop.
I bet you they did that on purpose.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. So I'm gonna put this up there, but I do want to quickly talk about the rest of the series.
Mm.
This line here. There are 5 figures to this show. There's RoboCop. There's Lisa Madigan here. Stan Parks, who is RoboCop's sergeant. So you got 3 cops, right? Then you have Hudface. Hudface is the villain. He says he's RoboCop's arch enemy. He's dressed up like a 1940s gangster, and from what I remember, he had like a drippy face, like the guy who got knocked into the toxic waste
Right.
in the movie.
Yes. Yes.
So they're kind of doing something with that. And then there's Commander Cash, who's like a corporate superhero character, supposed to be some sort of mascot for OCP.
Okay.
So he's not even like a character in the show. He's like
Right.
a mascot character.
He's
So
like
those are the 5 characters.
what was his name? Bill Bixby. What was his name on like in the movie? I'll buy that for $1. He's probably like just
Oh,
on the
right. Kind of
yeah
like that.
yeah
Yeah,
yeah.
he's just like a thing. So you got 3 cops, 1 villain who's doesn't look very intimidating, and then you got a cartoon character. But there are 4 vehicles that they released for this line. He's got the RoboCop car, there's a big like Humvee, there's an ambulance that looks like a Humvee, and then an armored detention vehicle. And then there's this cryo chamber thing that you're supposed to like
Sure.
lay RoboCop in and freeze him. Kind
That's
of an
awesome.
odd selection. I don't know. I get the feeling that these cars were just like repurposed from some other toy line.
Probably. That
I
is
don't know.
awesome though that they put that much forethought into that show. Like they thought that the show was going to be a big hit. We got to get
I
toys. Kids
guess,
are going to
yeah.
watch it every week. Yeah.
I don't know. If I'm gonna rip this open and throw her up there on the shelf.
Oh.
The big one though, this is the one you're actually going to enjoy, I believe. I've mentioned before those little you put the coins in the machine, you turn the thing, you get
Mm-hmm.
the little surprise. They do a lot of those here. And I got the Batmobiles out of there. I got some Ghostbusters, not Ghostbusters, Back to the Future stuff out of there. So every once in a while I peek around. I got my Gremlins out of there. I didn't see anything interesting out when I went to look in the stores. So I looked online. I thought, can I find anything aliens or something like that? And just by chance, I happened across another movie that I enjoy, that you enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered they made merchandise for it in these little things. And I got myself, let's see if you can figure it out.
Jurassic Park. Oh,
No.
that's not Tremors, is it? Is that a
Ta-da!
Nice.
It's a graboid. Look at that.
Nice.
I got a graboid. I've got a shrieker from part 2. I've got, this is where it kind of goes downhill.
The ass blaster.
The ass blaster. And then there's like a baby graboid and eggs.
Yeah.
I kind of don't even really remember these too much.
No.
From the 3rd movie. And I was super excited because I'd never seen any merchandise for Tremors
No.
before. So really, the graboid and the shrieker are the ones that I'm actually
That's
excited
cool.
about.
We got Kyle here.
What's not cool though? Hey, Kyle. Is that they give you 2 versions of the graboid. You get this, the whole body, and then you get one that like bursts out of the ground and has the tentacles coming out. But look at that. See something missing there?
Like the top part of the.
Yes, you have to assemble these things, and they come together, but they give you only one top half of the beak, so you can make this or this. You can't make both.
Yeah.
Which is pretty lame, considering it's just that one little piece. but that's their way of making you get another one
Right. So
so
then you
that
can
you
have
can
two.
build another one. But then if I do that, I'm still just getting that one piece, and then I'm gonna have 2 incomplete ones after that. So it's never ending.
Mm,
It's just you're always gonna have all these extra parts. That I think is pretty lame. But I'm super excited to have a
that's
grapple.
pretty cool. Yeah.
That is awesome. So that's it. That's my half Eider. I didn't go in. I think you
Okay.
went a little fuller Eider than I did.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
You
So
came in with a couple of big boxes.
so what happened was my friend Frank, he's really a bad influence. Um, you know how they have been reissuing like these He-Man figures and stuff like that.
Oh
And I've been
no.
on the fence about buying them and all that stuff. Well, they have been out for a while now, and a few of them have just not been selling, I guess. So now they ended up in like the discount dollar stores.
Okay, wait a minute. Before discount dollar stores, how much were these things going for full
About
price?
$20 to $25, depending on.
Ridiculous prices for kids. I know they don't make them for kids
Right,
anymore,
right.
but
So
still, that's a lot of money.
so now he finds a bunch at Dollarama. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then he shows up at my house and he's like, I got 2 for you. And I'm like, oh no. Because now
Oh, the first one's free, and you
yeah.
want some more.
So
Well, you
now
know.
so now I'm hooked. So like the very next day I was going to every Dollarama in the Sudbury area looking for,
Oh, you.
and I'm dragging Sarah
Now,
with me.
now, I understand dollar stores are no longer dollar stores. How
No.
much I mean, it's still you can pay like 5, 6, $10
Yeah.
at a Dollarama.
So these were depending on the size, they were either $4 or $5.
Oh, that's not bad though.
No, the price of these ones aren't bad. It's just if I want to continue to go down the road, I'm not going to find any more for $4 or $5.
Okay.
So
Well, I guess the problem there is if the ones he got you are not the main characters,
no, they're not.
then you would find yourself in a predicament where, well, if I have this one, I gotta get He-Man, I gotta get Skeletor.
This is the predicament. So
Okay.
but I just want to say I was dragging Sarah to all the, like, there's about a half a dozen Dollaramas in the Sudbury area,
Hmm.
and I felt a little bit like remember when Homer went to the all you can eat fish place and he didn't have enough. They kicked him out because and then
Right, right,
he dragged Marge all through town looking for another all you can eat fish place.
right.
So I felt like, okay, let me okay. Hold on. All right, let me show you. Let me show you the 2 that Frank brought over for me. So first off, we have Buzz Off. Remember Buzz
Oh,
Off?
Buzz Off. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
Okay,
the,
and these are the this isn't based off the new cartoon that
no,
they were
no.
doing. These
This
are
is this is called like, it's like retro play or something like that.
right, right, right.
Yeah.
They're just taking the old molds and
So they're not
pumping some
exact,
goo into them.
but they're pretty darn close to the.
Hey, good enough.
So he got me Buzz Off, who I didn't have as a kid, and Stratos, another character that I
Okay.
didn't have as a kid. And they do come with the
I
comic
think
books too.
oh, nice. I remember those. I think I might have had Buzz Off, but I never had Stratos.
Yes,
I do still have my He-Man bed sheets from when I was a kid, and Stratos is on there.
that's cool.
Hmm.
So then I went out. Let's see, what did I get? Okay. Yeah, so I went out to the Dollarama. That's right around the corner from me.
Okay, wait. Just going back to the beginning of the story, did your buddy Frank there charge you for the ones he got
No,
you?
no.
Okay, so everything from this point on, you paid $5 for?
Okay, so I'll say the first. So anyone that's like this size was
Like the
$4.
classic size.
Yeah,
Okay.
$4, and then there's some that are a little wider, and those are $5. So I have one here
Is it
that's.
part of the same line, or it's just
You'll
like
see.
Ram Man? I know is a
Why don't
different
I just Why
mold.
don't I
But
just show you everything?
go
All
ahead,
right,
go
here we go.
ahead. What am I?
So then I got Jiu-Jitsu. Another
Okay.
another character I did not have as a kid, but he had the action.
He's got like a chop thing, right?
Right. Oh, I
Mhm.
played all of these. Like my friends had ones, and you bring over your He-Man. Okay, so that was the only other small one. And then the bigger sets here. I'll just show you the next one I got was Ram Man, classic character.
Okay.
So like
Yes,
you
I
get
did
a
have
few
a
more.
Ram Man.
Yeah, and everyone's Ram Man, the springs broke in his legs, and he was like he'd be like a small short Ram Man.
Just yeah, I remember that.
I was gonna say midget Ram Man, but you can't say that anymore. So that was it, and then oh, you know, they had one more, clamp tramp, clamp clamp champ.
Clamp Champ.
Yeah, I don't remember this character at all.
Either.
I
Comes with a
keep
lot of accessories.
yeah.
Well,
I
these are like later ones. Well, Ram Man, I
Ram
imagine,
Man
was
was
probably
early,
fairly early, but
and Stratos was early. Buzz Off was kind of like second. Jiu-Jitsu was a little bit like
this
second.
is when they hit the all right, we got to sell more figures phase. What do we got?
So yeah, Frank found those two at the Dollarama around the corner for me. I found those three at the Dollarama around the corner for me. And then we
Mhm.
proceeded to drive to all the other Dollaramas and pretty much got only one more.
All right.
But
Now
it was
they
kind
didn't have any, or they just had the ones that you
they
had
had
already
either had the
purchased.
ones I already had or they didn't have any. And most of them didn't have
Okay.
any. But the one I did find, I found two. So I did buy Frank one. It was kind of worth it. Got the Hordak.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, with
It's,
the
they got the
crossbow and
She-Ra stuff in there.
a little bit. I mean, the Hordak stuff and the Horde, they were kind of like in the middle, right? Like they were supposed
It
to
was
be.
their transition
Well, they
stuff.
were supposed to be with the He-Man toys, but then in the cartoon they threw him in as the antagonist in the She-Ra cartoon.
Mhm.
So that's what I got, and now it's like, do I continue? You know,
Well, you don't have He-Man, do you?
I don't have He-Man, I don't have Skeletor, I don't have Battle Cat, I don't.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I don't know. Slippery.
Yeah.
The
The
slope
last
is
time I was
slippery,
in
and
the
I'm sliding
US,
down it.
the last time I was in the US, I went to a dollar store and they had little He-Man figures about yay big, like I don't know, 3, 4 inches tall. They had He-Man, they had Skeletor, they had Man at Arms, Merman, and Orko. They had just
Hmm.
those five. And I was like, that's neat. I'll buy a little He-Man and a little Skeletor. I left Orko and Merman and Man at Arms because I thought, nope, He-Man and Skeletor. It's all I need.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all I bought, and it scratched that itch, and I was fine. When I bought like this RoboCop here is larger than what I would normally want to buy,
Hmm.
but it's because it's for my little display up there.
Yeah.
Everything I buy now has to fit in the palm of my hand, so when I get tired of looking at it, I can just stick it all
Well,
in a box and wait
technically,
a
this
little
does
while.
fit in the palm of your hand.
You got big hands, and
Thank you. Okay. No, I did not go fishing after that sauce, but that was a good continuation of that story. Okay, what do we want to talk about next? Do we want to get into movies?
you know what? Yeah, let's I got movies. Oh, I got games that I didn't talk about last time too.
All right.
I got TV. I've got medical issues. So I've got lots of things.
Medical issues.
Yeah, I lost part of my hearing for a day.
Just for a day?
Yeah, it was weird. Like what was this? I don't know, like a week or two ago now. I woke up and I felt like, something's funny. It feels weird. My head hurts. And I realized after a while, um, that something was wrong with my ear. Now I got some issue with my jaw that gives me tinnitus. So I thought, oh, is it just that acting up? Sometimes it gets a little worse, but it persisted for a couple hours. Like, all right, I got to go to the doctor. See what's going on here. Go to the doctor. Say, well, I'm having trouble hearing out of my right ear. It kind of felt like you know those like little earplugs you put in, those little squishy
Mm-hmm.
ones, and you
Yeah.
stick it in your ear, and it kind of has that pressure, like it's pressing against your ear canal, and it felt like that. It felt like I had something in my ear,
Ugh.
and it was blocking half the sound, and it kind of created that that hum that you hear in airplanes, that kind of persistent.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had that. I got a doctor explain that. It's like, all right, we'll give you a hearing test. They stick me in a little booth, give me one of those little clicker buttons. It's like, okay, we're going to play little pulses in your ears, and just when you hear it, click the thing. I do that for a while. Like, okay, we got the results. Go back to the doctor. He's like, yeah, you're having trouble hearing out of that one ear. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. So he said it just happens. It just randomly happens sometimes where
Hmm.
the blood's not flowing right and you can kind of go partially deaf.
Wow.
All right. I don't know, whatever. So he gave me a bunch of medicine. Like, I feel funny with this. I don't know if I should be driving with this. It kind of like makes me feel a little off balance. So like, give me 2 weeks worth of medicine just in case. It's like, all right. So I had like a pill, two powders, and some sort of like syrup that I was supposed to take 3 times a day. So I went home, I took it for lunch, I took it for dinner, woke up the next day, I was perfectly fine. Everything, all the symptoms had faded. I was like, all right, what do I do now? I was like, well, you can keep taking the medicine. All right, I'll take the medicine for like a week or so. Never came
So
back, just that one day.
did did it just pop? Like it popped and you could hear?
No,
Or
I didn't. Well, I don't know because I went to sleep. It was still funny. I
hmm.
woke up the next day. It was fine.
Hmm.
I don't know. That is all I could do is the cousin Eddie when he's describing how his daughter's eyes like went back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
All
it.
right. All right.
Okay. Well,
Well, I want to talk about the not so special podcast challenge
oh
and
yeah,
how you're.
I got it.
So I want to hear about how you're dominating this challenge.
I
So
believe I am.
if anyone wants to know, the Not So Special podcast is a podcast hosted by our friends Creepy Josh and Derek. I guess he's Dorky Derek, maybe
Creepy
because
Josh and Dorky Derek.
Dorky Derek. Um, they, by the way, and they were calling us out for complaining that the challenge was too hard. I
Yeah,
don't.
I don't really remember that.
Okay.
I do believe it's what they call exaggeration.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't think it was hard. I did say I'm not sure if I'd be able to watch a lot of new movies in my collection because what's in my collection are movies that I want to rewatch
Mm-hmm.
or I like. But then I kind of like that. I made that statement after looking at my Blu-rays, and I'm like, well, a lot of it in here is just like like the J movies. That's all just stuff that so that part is going to be difficult. I'm probably going to have to buy something or whatever, which is
Mm-hmm.
happening, by the way. So that
Why don't
part
you just
is,
stream something?
I won't say it's difficult. That part is tricky. It's just a little tricky because I want to get the points, right? So I'm just saying that
Yeah,
part
that's a
is
good
just a
point.
little tricky. I'm not saying it's difficult. I think the challenge will be fun for me. That's why I am doing it. And it's kind of forcing me to get to some movies that I've been wanting to get to for a while. And then I remember like I do pick up a lot of HD DVD crap that I've never seen and I imagine is not very good or whatever. So there are a
Right,
lot
they
of
throw in
movies
extra
there.
points for that. Yeah.
Exactly. Originally my strategy for this challenge, by the way, the challenge is to watch every movie for the first time. It's got to be a first watch with every letter of the alphabet. So you have to watch an A, B, C, D, whatever, and then a number movie. I think last time we said
One
it.
number movie,
Yeah,
and
just
that's
one number
that's
movie.
one point that I was confused on last time. I thought it was you had to do like every digit.
I made that was my mistake. And then well, they never explained if you could do a phonetically numbered, like if it's written like one fine day, because is that one
Oh,
or does that
that
have to be
was
the number?
mentioned in
Oh,
the
okay.
latest one. They did
I
if like Three Amigos would count if
okay,
you
okay.
hadn't seen it before.
I didn't listen to all of the rules because their podcast is so friggin' long. I was trying to
Oh yeah,
cram it
four
in.
and a half hours. Yeah.
I was trying to cram it in, but I didn't get. They took. So this is what happened. I listened to an hour and 16 minutes of the podcast, and then I'm like, Fandango's our record is coming up. If we're going to talk about this, I got to hear
Right.
about the rules. So I start
hmm
skipping through to the rules, and I'm like listening. Okay, it's not there. It's not there. I go all the way to the end of the podcast. They talk. They throw some shade at us again at the end of the podcast. I'm like, where are these rules? So I go back to 160, and it was like at like an hour and 20 minutes or something like that. Like if I would have just stuck with it, I would have wasted less time just anyways
Put a few
trying to find it.
timestamps. You're gonna put out a show that long.
So anyways, I only got to, I think, about half the rules. I don't know how much longer the rules go to, but
I listened to all of it, so I could probably fill in the blanks.
Okay. So my strategy at first was to get through it as quick as possible, be the first person finished. But now I want to go for the points. So now my strategy is to do as close as I can, as close as possible, a pure HD DVD run through. Every movie that I watch will be an HD DVD movie. And my challenge, because my extra challenge to people out there, because HD DVD is the same score. You get 3 points for watching an HD DVD. It's the same amount of points as watching a VHS tape. It's also 3. So all those so-called VHS fans out there who love and watch their VHS movies, my challenge to you is to beat my score.
Ooh,
that's right. That's right. See if you poser VHS fans can beat a real cinephile like me. And if you can, what you win is basically bragging rights. That's it. It just, all it means is that, like, if I beat all you poser VHS fans, if I beat you all, it just means my opinion about movies just means a little bit more. That's all it means. That's it. So yours is a little bit less and mine carries a little more weight. And it's going to be very plausible. It should be easy for you to do it. Because one, there's a lot more VHS movies out there than there are HD DVD. HD DVD was only out for months, like about 18 months or whatever. VHS was out for a couple of decades. So for instance, it should be easy for you guys to catch me because there's basically no queue. This is just North American releases, not doing any, but there's no movie that begins with Q other than there is a Queen video, like the band Queen. They did do like
you had posted something about like a comedy special.
Yeah, I did watch,
and Josh gave you a pass on that. So
right.
I think if you're watching,
well, the thing is that the Queen video,
music video,
it's like about $30. I don't have it, and I already have it on Blu-ray. I haven't watched it yet, but I already have it on Blu-ray. So if the VHS guy is nipping at my heels, maybe I'll be motivated to go buy it. But
okay.
For right now,
well, I do have my own little nitpicks about the scoring system here, because clearly this whole competition is rigged so that people who collect older media get a bump up.
This is true. Yes.
And then it's claimed that, well, because it's harder to watch, despite the fact that they all brag about how they get bucket loads of these things for super cheap.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's exactly harder to watch. I'd say if you have to pay 50 cents for a VHS tape compared to, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 bucks for a Blu-ray or whatever. Hey, whatever. I don't think I'm going to win this contest because I'm not going for points. I'm just cataloging the movies that I'd be watching anyway.
Okay.
It is a good excuse, though, because I was planning on watching a lot more films from my backlog this year. That was my little New Year's resolution. So this helps greatly with that. So I don't think I'm going to win. I may be the first to finish, though.
Okay.
Because to date, for this year, I have already watched 35 movies. 28 of which were first-time watches.
Let me tell you, and just to compare, what did you say? How many movies?
I have watched 35 movies total
this year,
28 of which were first-time watches.
Okay.
And according to the rules, you need 27 movies to complete your ABCs in a number.
Right. Just as for comparison, me, a cinephile who watches movies almost every day, I've only watched 28 movies this
Oh,
year. So there you go.
there you go.
All right.
Unfortunately, because I'm not, shooting for points, I've only
Kyle's ready.
completed.
Kyle's ready for my ADD to kick in, and I'm going to get off the HD DVDs at some point.
No, I mean, why would you get rid of them at this point?
By the way, so Kyle's asking me about the rules. Does 007 Quantum of Solace count? This is exactly why I don't do any challenges on this show anymore. Because hearing Josh having all these people asking, "What about this rule? What about that? What about this?" That drove me bananas.
That I've got my own little questions there, because he talked about, you go to a movie theater, you got to pay money, you got to go out there.
Right.
What if you go to a hotel? What if you go on an airplane? Does that count as streaming?
Oh,
You know how
I
much an
hated this
airplane
part.
ticket
I
costs?
hated this part of challenges. It's like, oh, come on, guys.
Well, that's why the whole point system is a little off to me, because, like, of course, you could say it's streaming or whatever, but I don't know. I don't know.
I think the spirit of the
The
challenge
spirit of the challenge, I
is
have
that
no problem with,
we
and
all
I
have
enjoy it.
we collect movies. We all have a lot of
Yes.
movies in our backlog, and this is a way for you to get to those movies. Even though I am buying more movies for this challenge, which is kind of stupid, but
Yeah.
anyways,
I am fully in for the spirit of the challenge,
all right.
for filling out charts, and I have to get a copy of his spreadsheet, which is available, I believe, on their Discord,
Yep.
possibly on the YouTube video where they posted the latest episode, or if you just search out Creepy Josh or Derek, I'm sure one of them will send you the spreadsheet, which I need, because I made my own Google spreadsheet uh, in anticipation of this.
I went old school with my spreadsheet, and I made a list in a book.
Yeah.
I
Well,
went
even though
full
I'm not,
Vox with my spreadsheet.
I got a little notepad here.
All right.
I still have some questions regarding things. For example, what if you rent a movie? I still have
Oh.
video rentals. I have to pay money. I have to leave the house. I do own quite a few rental copies. I guess that counts as just a regular
Yeah, that would
thing.
be in your collection. But yeah, like if you
What
go
what
out,
what if you watch an import? Almost everything I watch is an import.
What if you
But if I do go rent a movie, or if you rent a streaming movie, is that an
yeah,
extra point? Because you got to
because
pay for
that's a
that,
step, and that's a step you
right?
got to take.
And then, for example, something like a Tubi is a free streaming service,
Mhm.
whereas you may pay for Disney Plus or
Mm.
Netflix. Paying extra money, does that get you another point? I think about these
I
things.
feel for you, Josh. I feel for you.
I know.
That's why
There's a
you'll
bunch of
never do another
a-holes out
challenge.
there that are going to nitpick on every little thing.
You'll never do another challenge again. Let me tell you, you're gonna be done by July. You'll be just like pulling out whatever hair. That's why I got no hair.
Oh, forget it. By next month, he's just going to say, "Screw it, forget this
Yep.
contest,
Yep.
pretend it never existed." I have happily cataloged all my movies there. I brought some of them with me because these are things that I bought recently that all fit into that contest. The only problem though is because I'm not really shooting to finish it right away. Um, because I watched 28 new movies, only 13 letters were covered because a lot of them
Right.
have the same
Mhm.
titles. So I watched things like On the Waterfront
Great
for the first
movie
time.
with Rob
Fantastic.
Steiger.
I love
Yes.
this. This was so good.
Nice.
And 108 minutes. Nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Not a long movie. But oh man, when I hear people talk about Brando and like, oh, this and that and everything,
I know.
this
Yeah.
fantastic. He's so
Yeah.
good. He's so natural.
Yeah.
I watched The Adventure of Sherlock Holmes's Smarter
Oh.
Brother, written
Okay.
and directed by Gene Wilder.
That's one of those movies I had like a VHS copy when I was a kid, and like I haven't seen it since.
Oh, it's half and half. There are
Okay.
parts
Well,
I
when I was a
really
kid,
enjoyed.
yeah.
Yeah, there are parts where it feels like it's just move on. Come on, the joke is over. Just
Mm,
move on. But they linger. But Madeline Kahn and Marty Feldman, so your Young Frankenstein reunion here.
yep.
Overall, I still enjoyed it. The Andromeda Strain from
Great.
1971.
Love that movie.
Really, really good.
Yeah.
Nice, slow-paced sci-fi, smart characters who
Michael
do things
Crichton
by the books. Yes.
wrote
I
and did he
actually
direct it? Did he direct it too? Or did he just write it?
no, but I do believe he did do the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, no, he didn't do the screenplay.
He wrote it's
He
based on one
wasn't
of
a.
his books.
It's based on one of his books.
Yeah.
Yes, he did do a little
No, it's
cameo.
that's right. It's the Robert Wise, right? Didn't he direct that one?
Robert Wise.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. This movie was fantastic. I really enjoyed it, and I saw one of the most horrific scenes I've ever seen in a
Yep.
movie when they're exposing the virus, the alien virus comes down. They're in a secret lab, great looking lab,
Yeah.
fantastic set with those mechanical arms when
Yeah.
he's doing the things and the arms in the chamber are moving. But they have to expose some animals to the virus to try to figure it out, and you see a couple of rats just like suffocate and
Yeah.
fall over, and then they pull out one of those adorable little rhesus monkeys, like the
Yeah.
one Marion had in Raiders of the Lost Ark sitting on
Yeah.
her shoulder. Those monkeys that wear little hats and play cymbals,
Yeah.
with the organ grinder. And the thing just like heals over and dies on
Yeah.
screen. Well, I had to look it up because that was horrific. Apparently, what they did is they had the monkey in a little airtight container with, breathable air, and then they put that in a room that was filled with carbon dioxide, and then they
Ah.
just open the valve, carbon dioxide filters in, and you see this monkey just start gasping. Its eyes are bugging out. It reaches over to the side of the cage to support itself, and then it
Yeah.
just goes limp and crashes down. Apparently, according to the internet, as soon as that happened, they had the assistant director was in the carbon dioxide room with the scuba gear on, and he had a little oxygen container, so they came over and revived the monkey. Um,
Wow.
from what they say, a few seconds went
Hmm.
by. Like they revived him, and they had the ASPCA there and everything to okay everything, and he was
Right.
fine. But oh my god, that's horrific to see. And they would never do anything like that again.
No.
You'll be strung up by your heels.
That's funny because I just watched an old Western called Jesse James. And in that scene, there's a scene where they get ridden off. They're on horseback and they get ridden off a cliff.
Mhm.
And one of the horses, like it's a really high cliff, and one of the horses jumps kind of normally, but this other horse is like all like falling kind of on its side, and it hits the water, and you're like, there's no way that that horse survived that fall because it landed so awkwardly. And according to the internet or the movie, people said no, the horse is fine, everything's good. The horse
Mhm.
just got up, and that, but people are like, I don't know, it doesn't
Yeah,
seem
I
right.
mean, it's easy enough to just say, "Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was fine." 3 people knew about it, so what do you want?
right.
But yeah, very good, nice slow-paced sci-fi there.
Yeah.
Um, this one I've been looking for a while. I was very glad to finally see it. Django.
Oh, that's the original one, right? The not the
Yes, this is
yeah.
the original, and I'm guessing you know about the whole Django series of Western
I
films
know of them because I see them like on Tubi and
everywhere.
whatnot. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've never watched any of them.
Right. Well, this is the original 1966 spaghetti western Django, starring Franco Nero. That's how you
Right.
know it's the original, Franco Nero. And apparently, this movie came out, was a big hit, very successful. But because the name is Django, which is albeit a kind of a unique name, but it's still just a name. It's not the kind of thing you can slap a trademark or a copyright on. So everybody else said, "Hey, we're gonna
Oh.
name our Western Django
Right,
Returns,
right.
Django's Revenge," which is why Tarantino made Django Unchained,
Unchained.
because he was just playing with that whole
Mhm.
idea of stealing that name. Uh, Really good. Very much enjoyed it. It's a cheap movie,
Mhm.
and there's not a lot of finesse. There's not a lot of style to it. Well, no, style is not the right word. There's not a lot of polish to it. It's very cheap, gritty, dirty. Shoot this movie with whatever we got, and what they got was a whole lot of mud. This is the dirtiest looking movie. This dirtiest looking town. That he walks into town at the beginning of the movie, and the road is just terrible. It's that thick mud where hundreds of people have been walking through it, and it's just pockmarked up and
Mm.
down, just footsteps everywhere. And every scene where they're outside, it's this terrible thick mud. Everybody like knee deep is just like caked with mud. Their dresses, boots, everything. It looks so realistic and like what the conditions would actually be.
Wow.
But what the movie lacks in finesse, it makes up for in just like brutality and directness. Uh, Definitely a fun watch. It's not going to be your favorite Western, probably, but boy, is it entertaining. The last one I'll show is I picked these up recently. I was very happy to stumble across a couple of Marx Brothers movies.
Oh, cool.
I got A Night in Casablanca, At the Circus, and A Day at
Day
the
at the
Races.
races. Hmm.
Now, I've never been too familiar with the Marx Brothers. I was always more of a Stooges guy,
Mhm.
and I saw some like Laurel and Hardy and Abbott and Costello and that kind of stuff. But aside from all of the references by like Hawkeye Pierce or Mike Stivic or Looney Tunes or Animaniacs and stuff like that, I had never seen any original Marx Brothers stuff. I watched two of these, and they get a recommendation. They're very
Oh,
good.
which two
They're
did
good
you
at their
watch?
shtick. A Night in Casablanca and At the Circus.
Okay.
So I enjoyed both of them. They have a bit more financing behind them than the old Stooges shorts.
Yeah.
So, because these are feature length films.
Mhm.
But good stuff. Groucho, I totally understand why people are constantly quoting him and aping his style and his delivery. He's great at those one-liners and put downs. Harpo doesn't say anything. He does play the harp very well. They managed to squeeze that into both of the movies I saw. And then the other guy, Chico, this guy here, really good piano player in
Mm.
both movies. They showcase him playing the piano, and he's the most entertaining pianist I've ever seen. It's not just how he plays; it's like the look, he's like getting the crowd going, and he's got all these hand movements and the way he flicks his fingers. It's just wonderful. People were talented back then.
Yeah, the only Marx Brothers movie I've seen is Duck Suit.
That's supposed to be the best one.
Yeah.
I really would like to see that someday. Anyway, I
Uh,
watched a whole bunch more, but I'll give it a break now. I'll put my list up soon so people can see all the other stuff I watched.
okay. Um, I'll just quickly then mention quickly because you brought up Mike Stivic. I have been watching All in the Family,
Okay.
and we're on season 7 right now, and
Ooh,
it's
that show went on that long, huh?
there's 9 seasons.
Okay, so you got me. What is it? One more season of the Stivics, or
Yeah, and then it's just Archie and Edith, I think, for the last season with the little girl. I think whatever
well,
from what
it's
I can
it's
remember.
well, oh, okay, I won't say anything then.
Anyways, we're on season 7. It's amazing how that show is still throwing out bangers. It's just good episode after good episode.
Mhm.
The only weak part of the entire show, there was like a small, like 3 episode arc where Archie went missing. I think in season 5, it was either
I
5 or
didn't
6.
remember that.
Yeah, so he goes missing for like 3 episodes, and like they'll be like, "Oh, Archie didn't come back from," or they can't find it. He's supposed to go off onto some sort of uh army. What's that old army where the army buddies get together in the what's that building? Why am I blanking on it?
I know what you're talking about, and I can't think of it either. It's
Anyways,
this
he gets
this is a
together.
thing that they used to reference in older shows and movies that I
Well,
don't know if they
he
talk about
got
anymore.
together with his. He's getting together with his older army buddies, anyways, and he
Mhm.
doesn't show up at the event, and they don't know where he is or anything like that, and they can't reach
Is
him.
this a disappearance the way Red Fox disappeared from Sanford and
Oh,
Son?
yes, exactly. So it turns
Okay.
out, like, because like, what is going on? So it turns out that Carol O'Connor was having trouble with the movie producer or the show producers, and he was ready to walk off the set, and so this was like
Mm.
their uh pissing match, I guess, between like Carol O'Connor wasn't coming on, and they were like, well, we can write you off the show at any second, right? So Archie was missing because they didn't want to say he was dead or anything like that, because that's
Right.
final. He's not coming back. So he's missing.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like, hey, if you don't come back to work, we could just write in that you were killed or something like that.
Mhm.
And the writers just had to scramble to come up with ideas for these shows, and they're not very good, and they're really awkward because Edith would be just like, if Archie's missing, Edith would just be like inconsolable, right? She'd just be like, oh, that's all she'd be able to. But it's like they kind of mention it at the beginning of the episode, and then they carry on with their day, and it just didn't work. But that was only 3 episodes out of the 150 or so that we have watched so far, and it's just been great stuff, and it just hammers my opinion or my feeling or whatever, that like, people always go on about the good old days, how things were better back in the 70s or in the 80s. And I'm telling you, the only reason why you think that is because during that time you were a child. Your parents were dealing with all the crap that's going on in the world, and
Mhm.
you were protected from that because your parents would protect you from that stuff. You didn't have to think about
Mhm.
it or whatever. All you had to think about was going to school and playing with your toys, because everything in that show, it's like as if they made the show yesterday. You just take Donald Trump's name and substitute it with Richard Nixon. They're dealing with inflation. They're dealing with job loss. They're dealing with going on strike. They're dealing with social issues like abortion and everything in that show. It's like exactly what is going on today. And I'm convinced that we have not progressed. We've not changed at all. We've gotten better at some things, but the basic things that we complain about every day or whatever, nothing's gone worse. Nothing's gone better. Like, some things have gotten worse, some things have gotten better, but it's pretty much the same. You just think,
Well, the only thing that's changed is, back then you could address things more directly
well,
and more creatively.
yeah, I think that was a little bit unique to that show. Like, Mary Tyler Moore wasn't,
Well, I
tackling.
mean, yeah, well, you could make the show you want to make, but if somebody wanted to make a show like All in the Family, they could make a show like All in the Family.
Well, there was real pushback from the studios at first, right? Like, the show was a summer fill-in show because the network, they went to every network. CBS was like the only one that kind of half picked it up, because that first season was only about 12 episodes, and it was like meant to be like a little fill-in show after Christmas kind of thing. And they were really nervous about having it on because he was, the language that's used and whatever. But then it just became such a huge hit because it's
Mhm.
genuine, that they couldn't stop it once it's out of the box. But yeah, I wish we would kind of get back to, like, racism is absurd. There's nothing wrong with pointing out how absurd it is instead of taking it so seriously all the time.
Mhm.
There's a lot that they say with their humor. And the other great thing about that show is that, even though, like, as a liberal, you might agree with Mike a lot of times, because Mike was the one that would argue with Archie on all these points and everything, they really made him to be an ass. Like, he would push Archie on all these things and all that. And it's like, you don't have to push him. Like, it'd be like me going to my in-laws and just arguing constantly about all the stuff that they believe in or whatever. And it's like, you don't, like, you're just being an arse when you do that, right?
Mhm.
So it was a great just balance, yin and yang on that show. And I did watch on YouTube. They do have like a couple of pilots. I don't know if I talked about this before, but they do have a couple of pilots for All in the Family.
Mhm.
Before they had Mike and Gloria on the show, a couple of different actors, and it's amazing to see how Gene Stapleton and Carol O'Connor had their characters like down packed, and these other
Mhm.
two actors that they brought in just like they didn't really work that well, and it really shows you
Mhm.
how it was an ensemble cast, although it was driven by Carol O'Connor. Anyways, Carol O'Connor, I just want to mention when he left the show, he didn't leave the show for more money. He got a lot of flack saying that because he was making quite a bit of money on the show. But what he
Mhm.
actually was leaving for was that he was a bit of a visionary. He wanted uh, for the show to he wanted the show to be cut down to 12 episodes a season because he was
Mhm.
like it's too much, right? Because he was like center stage for every friggin' episode, and he's like, if you cut this down to like 12 or 13 episodes, then I could do other things. I could sign on to do a movie, or I could do other things. I'm not just stuck doing the show all year round. And their compromise was that they started to have more episodes or episodes without him in it. Like he'd come in and he'd say, "Oh, I'm going fishing," and they'd say, "Okay, bye, Archie, go fishing," and then they would do their episode or whatever, or he wouldn't be in it at all. So he got more time off, but he didn't exactly get that 13 episode thing that's like the norm for television now, right?
Yeah.
But at the time, I mean, yeah, weekly ratings and everything meant everything, and they were all in competition. All these networks were in competition with each other, so they weren't going to allow their number one show to be scaled down to just half a season. So
Yeah. Well, it's the whole less is more too. Like if you can really focus on 13 episodes rather than
yeah,
stretching it to like 24, 26, you
yeah,
can make them a little more concentrated, get a little more
yeah.
potent,
Not that the
make them
show
more memorable.
suffers really from like it's just that good of a show, that. And the other clever thing that they do, like how like Cheers benefited from Shelley Long leaving the show, and then Christy Alley comes
Right.
in.
Getting
They
little
got more
refresh.
right. They kind of do that in a more subtle way on that show. Like the Jeffersons for the first part of the show was a huge part of the show. Like they lived next door, they'd be over all the time,
Hmm.
and then when they left, they were able to bring other neighbors in. One played by Mr. Mushnick, and I can't remember the woman's name. Anyways, they brought in some other neighbors. They brought in someone who lives in with them. Like Mike and Gloria move into the Jeffersons' house, and they have like this other person living in the house with them. She's like a Puerto Rican woman. So
Hmm.
like you get more by moving around like the secondary characters of that, refreshing. They kind of get more storylines out of that. So instead
Right.
of being just stuck with the same cast every episode, kind of thing.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
really enjoying it. Recommend All in the
Hmm.
Family.
Right.
Okay, so movies. Like I said, I'm going
Okay.
for the full HD DVD NSS ABC challenge.
So everything that is on your list right now is HD DVD, or you're going to rewatch some
I'm going to
to.
to upgrade some of my scores on there right now. I have a list going. So they posted. So I had it going in the Discord, but that list is old now. That list is whatever I had in the Discord. That's old because they
Mhm.
posted a spreadsheet, and I've been putting stuff into the spreadsheet. So eventually, I'm going to have to show my work on the spreadsheet somehow. I don't know. There was talk of actually updating the spreadsheet so everyone has an individual tab, so you can kind of see where everyone is at on the
Mhm.
tabs. We just would have to use the honor system that you don't go in and screw around with someone else's tab or something like that. Anyways,
Right.
so I have all my movies here.
Whoa, look at that.
I have what my plan. I have everything all planned out. For the most part. A couple of little holes, but okay. So first of all, I watched starting with I watched American Gangster. This is basically
Okay.
Ridley Scott's. It stars Russell Crowe and Denzel Washington. This is like Ridley Scott's attempt at doing a Goodfellas type of movie. He
Mhm.
took a lot of inspiration from Goodfellas, Scarface, French Connection. It's basically the same kind of crime, rags to riches movie that you've seen a lot, but I still enjoyed it. I liked it. There was a lot of boobies in this movie. The only what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so like there's the theatrical cut and then there's the director's cut. And normally I am a fan of the theatrical cut, and I got to say they like I went online like which version should I watch? Should I watch the directors or the theatrical? And everyone was like, both are good. So I just started with the theatrical cut, and I heard there was a different ending in the director's cut. So I watched the theatrical cut. I enjoyed the movie, even though it aped a lot of other movies. But I watched the different ending on the director's cut, and it just made me not want to watch the director's cut at all, because the original movie ends with like, so Russell Crowe's the cop and Denzel Washington is the bad guy, the crook basically, and Russell Crowe is chasing him throughout the entire movie. I don't want to spoil too much, but at some point they have to work together to get rid of a bigger foil kind of thing. And then the end of the movie just kind of tells you, because it's based on a true story. So they tell you what happened to the real people, and that's the end of the movie. But in the director's cut, they do that, and then it's kind of like Russell Crowe and Denzel Washington go on a walk. And they're walking through New York, and they're talking about getting a hot dog and all this stuff, and they're friends and they're buddy, and I'm like, this. I just stick to the theatrical cut. All right, next movie I watched, Robert Zemeckis' Beowulf.
Ooh.
The director's cut.
I did not enjoy that.
You know what? I thought I liked a lot of the ideas in this movie. Just the execution of a lot of stuff was really bad. The animation is really weirdly, like, it looks good at times, and then at times it looks really bad. Like all the facial stuff and that looks really good, but then like you have it stuck on like a stick, like really stiff character animation.
Yeah,
right?
I didn't know that movie was CGI. Like when I had just seen the cover, I thought that's just
No,
like
I
a
didn't
live
know.
action movie.
Yeah.
And then I started watching, like, oh, it's a CGI thing.
Right.
But that's what got me the most, is they spent so much time trying to make the movie look real, like the faces and everything,
Yeah.
and go for kind of a gritty look. But then he's like swinging on chandeliers and stuff, and it looks like a silly
Really bad.
cartoon. And
Yeah.
it just, and then the story and stuff just didn't grab me. So,
well, that was the interesting part. I found parts of the story really interesting, and because if I'm a demon living beside some noisy neighbors, like I'm going to feel the exact same way that Grendel felt in that movie. So, but they did work really hard on the boobies. All the boobies were animated really well.
okay.
In this, so
It seems to be a consistent comment of yours. We're only on letter B.
I think that's it for the boobies.
Well, what did you watch for C? Can?
Well, it's basically boobies and Shia LaBeouf. I've never watched, like, I seen the Shia LaBeouf movie with that he did with Indiana Jones, and then he popped up in some other what it was like Woman in Little Pieces or something like that. It was like a movie that was nominated for Best Actress or whatever a couple of years ago. That's the only two Shia LaBeouf things I've seen. I've seen more Shia LaBeouf now. Got a lot of
I heard something that you watched, and I guess now I know why you watched it.
The LaBeouf stuff?
When you get to letter T?
Okay. All right. Okay. So my first LaBeouf movie is the movie Constantine.
Yes, he's a cab driver.
He's the cab driver. So have you seen the Constantine? I think you liked it, right?
I saw that in the theater. No, I can't really say that I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's one of those like it's almost somewhere, but
yes.
And I never understood this. There are several times in the movie he does this thing where he's got bringing tattoos. His arms together. He's got
tattoos on his forearms, and he brings
like
his
a half and
together.
half.
Yeah,
but they never say like what it's for or what it's supposed to do.
I will say that the entire movie is like that. They don't explain anything. Like, so at first I'm watching the movie and there's this exorcism being performed on this girl. And there's this priest like, I don't know what to do. Let's call Constantine. Constantine comes in, gets driven in by a cab, gets out of the cab, he performs the exorcism. Nobody seems to be really like, oh my God, this is like a, unbelievable thing. Like they seem to be. So I'm like, okay, this must be like a comic book world, right? Where
Yeah.
supernatural things happen all the time. Like it's shocking when it happens, but it's not like, or it's surprising when it happens, but it's not shocking. It's not like, we opened up a whole new world. And then like halfway through the movie, he's going on about how he has like this Haley Joel Osment upbringing where he could see things and other people can't. And I'm like, I'm really confused on whether other people can see things or not. And then Shia LaBeouf, so he gets driven in with this cab, and like Keanu Reeves yells down at him and says, hey, move your car out of the way because a demon's going to fly out the window and I don't want it to hit the car and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, so can Shia LaBeouf see the demons or not? Because then he's reading all these occult books and all that. And I thought he was just the cab driver. And then he turns out that he's like his sidekick kind of thing. And it's like, well, why are they driving around in this cab? I didn't understand at all what was going on.
I'm guessing, yeah, like I know it was based off some comic that I'm not familiar with, so maybe something was lost in translation. They just didn't spell out enough of the details for people who are unfamiliar with the
I think that's exactly what went down, because I talked to my buddy Frank, who's a huge fan of Constantine, the comic books, and he hasn't watched this movie in a long time, but he was saying that, yes, that, the character that Shia LaBeouf plays is his drives him around in a cab, but he doesn't do like this occult stuff or anything like that. And I don't know. I still can't understand whether not everyone can see demons or not. It wasn't making sense. Okay. So we're up to C. D, I don't have a D movie. I actually had to go online to try to find, because I've been collecting HD DVD like very casually, like if I just find one out in the store and I don't have it, but now I have to find it. So for $6.
What about one of the later Die Hard sequels? You probably haven't seen those.
I haven't, but I don't think they're out on HD DVD.
No,
they never made it there. None of the Die Hards made it on there. So, well, the movies I had that I could choose from, there was Dante's Peak, Dawn of the Dead, Dead Silence, Derailed, and Disturbia. And
Disturbia is another Shia LaBeouf.
Well, let me tell you, Dante's Peak $30, Dawn of the Dead $25, Dead Silence was $9.50.
Oh, right, you're going all HDD. You'd have to buy all these.
Derailed was like over $100. Disturbia was $6.50. So that will be my D movie. I'm going. Another LaBeouf is on the way. All right. E,
discount HD DVD. Oh, all right.
E, I watched Aaron Brockovich.
I've been meaning to watch that.
Listen, I'm not a fan of Julia Roberts at all. Like I think on the worst Hollywood people, there's Tom Cruise, and Julia Roberts is like right there, like she's pushing up again. She has that dead look in her eyes. I don't know. It's like the same problem I have with Tom Cruise. Anyways, she was okay in this. She kind of plays like I don't know. She's kind of like a dick.
Don't spoil it, because that's been on my to watch list.
All right, well, you watch it.
Like half a dozen movies that I want to watch, and then I roll a die to see which one I choose.
Right.
Aaron Brockovich has lost like every single dice roll.
Well, make Aaron Brockovich your E movie.
It probably will be, because I can't think of any other.
She won an Academy Award for it, but I think it was all just publicity and hype. Okay, A, B, C, D, E, F. I watched Failure to Launch with Sarah Jessica Parker and Matthew McConaughey. Can't recommend this at all. It's the dumbest premise for a movie. Apparently, this movie went through like so many actors who passed on it before these two finally said, we'll do it. So the premise of this movie is that he lives in his parents' house, and he gets into these relationships with these women. And then once it evolves into, or like the woman wants to take it to the next step. Let's go steady. Let's talk about marriage and all that. He then brings his girlfriend to his parents' house where he still lives. And then they get upset because he deceived them by telling them like by telling him that it's his house, and then it turns out to be his parents' house, and then they get upset and they leave and they dump him, so he doesn't have to dump anyone.
Mhm.
The parents are sick of this, so they hire Sarah Jessica Parker, whose job it is to find male adults still living with their parents and giving them the courage to leave their parents' house by pretending to fall in love with them, and then getting them to move in with them, like, or let's get an apartment, and then at the last minute she backs out, but they're stuck with the rent or whatever, and then the parents are happy because he moves out, but she like gives them the confidence to find some other woman. That's how dumb this movie is. Anyways, F is off the
Maybe
list.
you need to go to the original source. Rocket Sauce says it's based off a DC comic book.
I think he was talking about Constantine, but he might have been talking about Failure to Launch. So my G movie, I haven't watched it yet, but I got The Good Shepherd up on. It's a long movie though. It's like over 3 hours, but you got De Niro in there and Matt Damon and Angelina Jolie.
Hey, how about that? How about you get extra points if you watch a really long movie? Because they're saying it's okay for like an hour long, like the Brave Little Toaster or whatever they say.
Right. Listen.
I
This is
watched
the
Ben-Hur,
this
so
is the
I
only
figured I gotta
G
come.
movie that I own that I have not seen yet, so that's why it's there. Okay, so H, Heartbreak Kid with Ben Stiller. It's a Farley Brothers movie. I know it's based. There was an original movie with Charles Grodin that came out in the early 70s, and that's really why I haven't watched this yet, because I keep meaning to watch the Charles Grodin movie. But anyways, that's going to be my H. I did watch My Eye, The Interpreter with Nicole Kidman and Sean Penn. Kind of
Cool.
forgettable thriller, not really worth watching. Like, it's just really contrived. It's one of those contrived movies. Like,
Okay.
the weirdest scene in that movie is that, so she is like an interpreter, and there's all these, like, for the United Nations, right? And there's all
Mhm.
these delegates that are, coming and going. She understands all these languages and that, and there's like this murder thing or whatever, and so she follows one of the delegates, and they, I keep saying that word wrong, but anyway, she follows these guys, and they're supposed to be like diplomats for this this country, and they're just taking the bus in New York City. Like, they're just driving around, and it's like, why would these guys, like, wouldn't they get like at least a cab? Like, maybe not driven
Mhm.
around, but at least, but it was also, they could have this scene where the bus blows up in New York City, and it's just kind of, anyways.
Sometimes you need that cinematic. It's just
Right.
you gotta set it up a little better.
Well, I mean, make it plausible. Okay, so J, there's not a lot of J movies. There's The Jerk, which I already have and I've already watched. There's
Mhm.
Jarhead, which I've already watched a long time ago. I actually read the book too. So the only J movie I could find on eBay was Justice League: The New Frontier, a Warner Brothers cartoon. So hopefully it's
Mhm.
long enough to. That's going to be coming in at some point.
Oh, speaking of,
Yeah.
well, I had one thing on my TV list. I've been rewatching Batman, the animated series,
Oh, nice. I've been trying
which
to
is really good.
get to that at some point. That's on my list. That's one of
I'm
those things.
almost done with I'm almost done with the first season. There's like 63 episodes,
Okay,
and I will say that the best episodes seem to have already
happened.
it kind of happened. Yes, yes.
Hmm.
So, um,
Like
ver
Mr.
ver
Freeze. That was one of my favorite episodes.
there are a lot of good ones early on. Honestly, my favorites are the ones where Batman is not like the center. There'll be something where it's focused on like a character or a cop, some other character,
Yeah,
and then they have some sort of crisis, and
yeah,
Batman is an element of that story.
right.
And they're really good. There's a lot of things I love about that show, but I'll wait till I'm finished, and then maybe I'll talk about it more next time.
Okay, for K, I don't have a K movie, but I'm just gonna keep my eyes out for King Kong, because that's got to be out there. Oh, the Man Bad episode, that was good too. I like that one too. So yeah, the Peter Jackson's King Kong. I see that, like, I've seen it a few times out there, but I haven't picked it up because the copy looked roached or whatever. But
And you never watched it, huh?
No, and so I'm confident within the year I'll be able to find that King Kong. L, I have The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. Never watched it, but we'll get that done. M, I got Mobsters.
Oh, wait a minute.
What?
What day is it? When did you go see Godzilla? Was that in December?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So you can't count that.
No. I got Mobsters here. Some sort of movie with Christian Bale, Patrick Dempsey. I don't know. It's probably not very good. But watch this movie, No Reservations, with Catherine Zeta-Jones and what's his name?
Aaron
Eckhart, Two-Face.
Yeah.
Meh. It just kind of was meh. It's one of those movies where, her sister dies, so she's left with a kid, but she's got this job that she has to, now she's got to figure out how to balance raising a kid and the job. And then Aaron Eckhart comes in, and he's the savior because he can help her in the kitchen. He can help her with the kid. You've seen it a million times.
You know what I watched for my end movie?
What's that?
I went inside Dan Aykroyd's head. Nothing But Trouble.
Oh God, that's the penis nose movie. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the movie stinks.
That was I'd give it a I like that he was going for something different, but
Sure.
Oh boy, was it different.
So for R, I have this movie with Sissy Spacek and Mel Gibson, The River. We'll get that going.
Mm-hmm.
Something called The Skeleton Key for S with Kate Hudson. Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. We're up to T. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Make the sound, everybody.
So Transformers. So I've been trying to get, this movie, I had this HD DVD copy and it wouldn't work. It would get so far in the movie and then it would just die. It would stop. So I tried different machines and all this stuff. Could never get it to work. So I'm out and I'm thrifting and I'm with Frank, of course, and he finds another copy of Transformers. I'm like, I'm not buying another copy of that movie. He's like, yeah, but the one you have doesn't work. I'm like, damn it, you're right. So I bought another copy of Transformers. And this one, well, actually I swapped them because this one has the slipcase on here. But I now have a working copy of Transformers with Shia LaBeouf. And I finished it. And I gotta say, I never want to see it again. It was pretty terrible. It was like incomprehensible. There's one scene. Have you ever seen the Transformers movie?
I saw the first one in the theater.
Oh my God.
And yeah, I was very 50-50 on it.
Yeah, I could kind of see that. Like there's parts of it that are like, yeah, you want to like it. You want
to because I mean, I saw it in the theater, so this is before there were, I don't know, 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 of them.
Right.
Everyone had the same complaints about you can't see what's going on. So it was
Right.
like, it was all fresh. It was like, I liked Transformers. That's part of my childhood. I want to see this. And, there are things that I kind of liked and I wanted to like. And then there was a lot where it's, I don't know.
The worst.
Weird. Optimus Prime has lips. What is this?
Yeah, that was weird. And then they finally put the shield on him, I guess, when he was, that's supposed to be his fighting thing or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And then you get past all the, the cliche Michael Bay characters that are just spouting out stupid one-liners at inappropriate times and stuff like that.
I've heard the movie Bumblebee is decent. He is not decent in this movie. He's actually quite annoying because they do that thing where he can't talk. So he just uses like clips from the radio, but they're not really clips from the radio. They're from just random things from pulp culture and they kind of fit what he's saying.
He's an alien robot. You can say he downloaded some stuff.
Anyways, so the worst scene in that movie, though, it didn't really have much to do with the Transformers. It's when he has to go back home, and he's with what's her face, the girl in the movie.
Megan
LaBeouf and
Fox.
Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox have to go back to his house because he has something that the Transformers needed. It was some sort of key or something like that, and he left it at the house. So he goes there, and his parents are there, and they're trying to keep the Transformers hidden while they're going through the house looking for the key. And he's like telling the Transformers to keep quiet. And then the parents walk into his room, and he's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And then it was just like, it was the worst thing I almost seen in movie history. At some point, the Transformers make a noise, so then the parents like start going to investigate, and it's just like really bad dialogue. Like the mom is like, she's carrying like a rake or something, and she's like, "Whoever it is better be staying out of my bush." Like, just better be staying out of my bush.
And my bush. Well, what you saw, you just have to remember, is not a film. It's a summer blockbuster,
Piece of
wide attention. You
sure.
can't treat it as if it's a movie, like a film. It's
Yeah, but
just
summer blockbusters used to be
I know,
Jaws and
I know. They used to
Ghostbusters
be. They
and
used to be.
Indiana Jones and
I'm sure
Batman
there's still a couple of good ones.
uh,
I mean, people say they like those Marvel movies and stuff. I'm sure there's still a lot of good ones, but
there's
for
some
the
good ones in
most
there. Yeah.
part, it's just, I don't know.
Anyways,
I saw that one, and years later, I saw one of the movies with Marky Mark in them, and I had no idea what was going on. So I've seen 2 of the Transformers movies.
all right, we're getting quickly to the end here. I got this U2 movie that I bought for Sarah, U2 Rattle and Hum, so I might use that. There's also a movie called U571, some sort of submarine movie that kind of has my
Okay.
yeah. So I might buy that just to, like, if I could find it or whatever. So, anyways, oh yeah, V I don't have figured out. W will be a big points earner for me because not only is it an HD DVD movie, but it is a Nicolas Cage movie, and I have a full
Right. You
year,
get the Cage points,
right,
right.
and I have a full year to get to it. So I'm hoping that Josh and Derek get to this movie and recommend it, so I can get those points.
Mhm.
That's World Trade Center, which I'm sure is a delightful romp. Oliver Stone directed. Anyways, I hope he doesn't go all conspiracy theory in that, because I can't stand 9/11 conspiracy theories. Just make me mental. But that'll be my W. And then why I have you, me, and Dupree coming. I'm embarrassed by that. And Z, the only Z movie is Zodiac, the David Fincher film, which I've seen. I have it on Blu-ray, and I've seen it a couple times. So Z, I'm not going to be able to fill out Z, and I skipped over P. I think I skipped over O and P. O is I have the Steven Seagal classic Out for Justice coming my way.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right?
Oh, I didn't bring my Seagulls. That was something I was going to talk about weeks ago.
Oh,
I had a hole in my Steven Seagal collection. I wanted to get like his first 4 movies or so,
okay.
and I think it was Out for Justice was the one that I needed, and no. I had that one. It was Hard to Kill.
Okay, I just
Is the
watched
one that
that
I
one.
picked up. That's the one with Kelly LeBrock.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay,
And
yeah, that's the
so
one I just got.
I'll let you watch
And
it, and we'll talk about it because it is
no, I
so
watched
silly.
it because I
Oh,
had
you
seen
did?
it before, but I didn't remember it. But I saw it and I was like, okay, this is not as good as some of the
No.
other ones.
The whole thing that didn't make sense in that movie is that he is put into this coma.
Yeah.
And while in the coma, Kelly LeBrock allows him to grow this really grotesque goatee. It's
Mhm.
just big and long, and it's like, because she was the nurse that was looking after him all these years.
Right.
It's like,
And she
why would
brings wild animals into the hospital.
yeah,
Puts them up.
this movie doesn't make any sense. It was pretty
No.
bad.
And he's in a coma for like, I don't know, what, 8 years or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Doesn't lose any muscle
Nope.
definition, anything like that.
They
Just
do kind of like, okay, you have to like
Oh yeah,
There's
he
a little
has
bit of
trouble walking.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a little bit of rehab, but it's like yeah, he's still
Then he
like all
starts punching his board and running up
yeah,
hills and everything.
yeah, yeah.
No, the best of the early Steven Seagal movies, if I can say, is Marked for Death. Keith David's in that one.
Uh, for death, I think I've seen that one.
Marked for Death is a good one. That's when he goes up against like this Jamaican gang. That one is the most entertaining of his early movies.
Okay, I don't. Maybe I haven't seen that one. I can't remember. So for P, there was so I was looking at the movies Poseidon, which I guess is
Hmm.
a remake of the Poseidon Adventure, and another
Right.
movie called The Perfect Storm with
Oh, George
George
Clooney
Clooney.
and Marky
Right.
Mark.
So I'm looking at these movies, and Poseidon was $15 and A Perfect Storm was $10. But then I found another listing for A Perfect Storm for $5.50. So it won for $10 less. It won. So I ended up getting
Hmm.
Perfect Storm. So and then the number
For
movie
my
I don't know what I'm gonna
for
do
my
for a number.
letter P, sorry, I actually have a theatrical watch. Bonus points.
Popeye?
Popeye? Are they making a Popeye movie?
I don't know.
That would be great. The Robin Williams ones is good. I like that one.
What was your
No, my
P?
daughter, my daughter wanted to go see the Paw Patrol movie. So
Oh, okay.
technically, I've got a theatrical list.
Nice. That's a P.
Hmm.
Right on. Okay, anyways, I got everything all planned out. Well, most of it planned out. And I'm
I have
looking for
nothing planned out. I just wait until the day I'm gonna watch something and like, does this fit the list? Sure, throw it on there.
this is how I do things. I just like okay, I
Mhm.
got to plan it all out and then I get halfway through, I get pissed off. I'm like, why am I doing this? That's everything. I got my OCD and my ADD just constantly. They're just constantly fighting each other. It's just constantly battling. We're just wrestling with each other. But no, I think this will be
What?
fun.
Sorry, Rocket Sauce has an important question. What's the one where he uses a bar rag and cue ball as a weapon? That was hard to kill.
Okay.
He
Well, do you
goes
remember if
to
Out to Justice
do a
was
little
that? Do
interrogation.
you remember if Out to Justice was?
Um, there's Out for Justice, Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, and what's the other three-word one? Above the Law.
Above the Law. Yeah, that one
I
I've
would say
seen.
Marked for Death is the most entertaining. Maybe Above the Law would be next. There, at least in every movie, there's a couple of shots where he does those like real fast disarming things, and he does
Mhm.
that like clothesline chop to knock people down.
Yeah, yeah.
But uh, you got to have
By
a
the
little more than
by the
just.
way, in Hard to Kill, did you notice how he was running in that movie? Is that
Oh,
thing?
in every movie,
Is
yeah,
that how?
that's
Is that
that's
how he runs?
that's a huge thing. Go to YouTube and look up Steven Seagal run. He's got those like
Yeah,
flippy
that
wrist
was like
things.
the weirdest run for an action hero man I have ever seen. It.
It's very strange. Yeah, he's
uh
a big guy. He's like 6'2", 6'3", something like that.
right,
He's
right.
like a really big guy, but he has this odd run. Watch any interview with John Leguizamo. He always badmouths Steven Seagal and he makes fun of the way he runs.
Well, that was all new to me, and I was enjoying it. I was enjoying watching
Yeah.
him run. Okay, anyways, that's it. We've talked enough. This episode's gone on long enough.
He pretends to be whatever ethnicity he needs to be in any film. He's never the same.
He's always some sort of like he always had to go back. Like his backstory is that he had to go to some East Asian country to learn
Mhm.
some sort of martial arts defense or whatever, and then he learns it, and then he, you know,
I
comes back.
haven't I haven't checked on this, but I saw something online akin to some producer is claiming that Steven Seagal's fame as an actor was all part of a bet. Kind of like in Trading Places, where they take Eddie Murphy and they're like, "Oh, I bet you we can turn this guy into a businessman." Some apparently some I still haven't checked if this is true. Some producers are like, we can take anybody and turn them into an action star, no matter how uncharismatic, untalented they are. And that was kind of like the beginning of getting Steven Seagal into movies.
I wouldn't be surprised. That wouldn't shock me at all.
I gotta check that.
That's funny. Okay. That's it. Thanks everybody in the chat. We had Rocket Sauce. We had Steven.
Ooh, boy.
We had
extra long episode today.
I know. We had Deke, and we had Rambox, and we had me. That's it. That's all you needed in the chat. It's good.
And hey, I don't know if you caught the end of the not so special podcast, but they volunteered their services to post our recordings for us.
I did hear that. Yes.
So just let it lie there, and I believe Josh is going to take care of it.
I also found it funny that it was always like, yeah, those guys don't get to posting the audio. Those guys are always waiting last. There's no those guys.
Yeah, those guys and I love that.
Those guys. You could just say it's me. And I'll tell you what happens every time we record. I can't access the file right away. If we recorded just to StreamYard and didn't broadcast it, we could, but I can't access. I have to wait like 24 hours. So then the weekend happens. People come over and all that. And, Sunday we're doing something else or whatever. So then it's the week. And Sarah is in here all day throughout the week. And then we spend our evenings together and all that. And I just forget about the show. That's quite it until it's like time for us to record again. And I'm like, oh, geez, I got to get that last episode out there. So that's basically it. And then I'm trying different software and that I have to learn. Like I did every episode from 1 to, I would say 225 on this one software. It was Adobe Audition. I did every episode on that. And then it finally got to the point where the software got so old that it wasn't working properly. Like even like the last few years, like the fonts and everything were so small, but I knew exactly what I was doing. So I've been trying out different software to edit the episodes, even though I'm just sticking music on the bottom and the top, and that's really it. But it's still, I have to like figure out how all this stuff works and all that. I've been trying to find something, like I've been trying Audacity and that hasn't worked and all that. So anyways, that's why the episodes take so long to get the audio out.
That's why they take so long.
Yeah, that's why we take so long to get an episode out. And meanwhile, you can watch it on YouTube. It's all there on YouTube. But I understand.
Yeah, what's wrong? That's how I bought their podcast.
Well, I understand though. You like to put on the headphones and do stuff around the house. Or Josh is in the car all the time. He's driving, or in the truck, and he's driving. So I get it. But I'll try. I'm trying to be better. But it's stuff. There you go. I'm on eBay buying movies and that. I can't be editing our show all the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, that's enough.
You don't have anything on your shelf that fits. You have to do the HD DVD.
What do you mean?
I mean, you're doing it for the points and all. I get that, but you can't just like whatever. I got a J here and a DVD
absolutely.
that I could watch.
Oh yeah, no, totally. I could do that. I started doing that, right? But now I'm going for quality instead of just like rushing to the end kind of thing. So I do have like a Z movie that like a DVD or something or a Blu-ray that I can plop in to finish the list. I will finish the list, but for it to be pure HD DVD.
Well, you have the whole year. Like I said, you can, if you watch a movie later on, you can substitute that one if it's higher points.
Right. But like, I will like for an HD, but like for a Z movie, the only Z movie that came out in HD DVD was Zodiac. That's it.
Okay.
There's something like Zombie something or whatever, but it's like out in Germany or whatever. In North America, it was just Zodiac. It's a movie I've already seen. I've seen it at least twice. I have it on Blu-ray.
What if?
Yes.
Creators here. What if you're watching a copy from another country that has a different title? Can you choose the title?
This is exactly why we will never do any sort of challenges on the show ever again.
Quite a few of the movies that I own have different titles.
Drove me
on the region.
Bananas. Well, and there's things that I thought of too, but I didn't. I know what Josh is going through right now, so I don't want to like for instance, when I was looking at the P movies, there is a director's cut of the movie Payback starring Mel Gibson. that
Yeah.
I've never seen before, but
Right.
I've seen Payback like a long time ago, right? But I've
Mhm.
never seen the director's cut. So does that count as a first time watching? Because it's the first time I watched the director's cut.
Yeah, and I put, also for my P's, I put Pet Cemetery with question marks because I can't remember if I've ever seen the whole thing. I know I
I
saw
have a
parts of it when I was a kid.
right. I have a few movies like that as well, and I'm going with I haven't seen them.
Kyle, the Retro Fandango one movie challenge.
Yes, I'm telling you, I have movies like that. I'm like, have I seen this or not? I don't know. I'm just going with I haven't seen it because you know,
Yeah, I had there were there were moments from the film I know I saw and I
right.
remember being scared of. But then I watched it, I'm like, wow, so much of this is feels
Well,
brand new.
I'm leaning on the fact that this challenge is hard enough as it is.
Mm.
It's so tough. Uh, I'm doing anything I can to make it a little bit easier for me. Like Josh, have some mercy on us. Come on. You got to make it so rough and tough to do. By the way, we didn't even talk about my latest pickup, the Blade Runner series on HD DVD.
Ooh, look at that. Is that the what do they call it? The collector
Yeah,
anthology, what is it?
yeah. But I'll talk about that the next time. I'll
Okay.
talk about it the next time because we
Chronicles, is that it? Blade Runner Chronicle?
I don't know Blade Runner Chronicle. There's
I
four
don't know.
different.
The
Yeah.
that's yeah, I have a version that has like 2 or 3 different versions.
Look at
Something
Kyle.
like that.
Just watch a movie.
Yeah, just watch a movie.
I know. I know.
Everybody's
Okay.
a winner.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a sticker.
All right. That's it. Thanks for watching, listening, whatever you did. And we're going to end it here. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. See you in another 16 weeks.
I cut you off.